Did you need any coaxing into taking the roles for this movie that must have been so odd at the time?
I don't know if you saw from my spit take, but no.
No.
Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and have some fun right now here at GalaxyCon, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we are going back to Halloween Town with two cast members of The Nightmare Before Christmas. So without further ado, let's open the jack-o'-lantern door on that holiday tree and bring them out to our world. Our first guest is an actor and cabaret singer whose body of work includes an award-winning role in the original cast of Ain't Misbehavin', Torch Song Trilogy, and All Dogs Go to Heaven. Today, he joins us to talk about his role as the Oogie Boogie himself. Please welcome back everyone's friend, Ken Page.
Hello. Greetings.
Hello, Ken. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm happy to say.
Yeah,
I'm happy to say.
Yeah, happy to say. Absolutely, absolutely. I haven't seen you since Halloween itself, so hope the holiday season and the new year went well for you.
Yeah, it did. I mean, of course, as we all know, everything's a little different than it has been previous to this past year, but it was good. You make the best of it and you surround yourself with love, which means as many people as possible or as few as you can under circumstances, and you do the best you can, and I can't complain.
Awesome. Well, Ken, it's always a pleasure to have you back here.
Thank you.
Someday I want to sit down and talk to you about Sable because I'm a huge fan of that series.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. I'm a big fan of the original comic, a big fan of Mike Grell, and so
a little ahead of its time, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Mostly, yeah. Not just because the lead character had a mobile phone the size of a brick.
Yes. A mobile phone, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Ken, I miss you. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And our next guest is an actor whose body of work includes Dog Day Afternoon, Fright Night, Child's Play, and an adorable, obscure movie called The Princess Bride. I wonder whatever happened to that. Today, though, he joins us to discuss the role as the speaking voice of the Pumpkin King himself, Jack Skelington. Please welcome back our friend, Chris Sarandon.
Hiya, kids. Hiya.
Hiya.
Yeah, right.
Plunk your magic
twanger, Froggy.
Well, Ken, that's Chris. That's a new intro for you now. So
yeah, I'm using it from now on. I hope it's not copyrighted.
I think. Well, I don't think the Buster Brown company will come after us, so we're good.
I don't think so either.
Chris, how are you?
I'm great. I just finished a very, very what do you want to call it? Scientifically pristine visit with, on 4 different occasions, 4 different groups of my grandchildren.
Wow.
So they were
nice.
they and their parents were tested. We were tested, but we didn't do it all together because I have my wife and I between us have 4 kids and 9 grandchildren. So we did one group, then another group, then another group. Wow. Everybody did the up the nose test. We did ours. And it was so just extraordinary. Wow. What a holiday, post-holiday season to counter the craziness that seems to be going on in the country right now. It's been a relief in that regard, but also just wonderful. I was just saying to Ken before we went on that I got a chance to watch Nightmare again for the first time in years with my 4-year-old granddaughter yesterday, and it was just such great fun.
Wow. Now, going into it, did she know your contribution to it?
She's watched it probably 50 times.
Okay, all right.
And she knows that I'm in, but also there's a kind of dissonance when it comes to the person sitting beside you is also somebody in the. It's a little confusing for a 4-year-old.
Yeah. I can imagine. Wow, what a magical moment. That's absolutely outstanding. Well, Chris, so glad the holidays and the new year went well for you, and it's always a pleasure to have you back here, boss.
Thank you, Patty. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. And once again, gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at the GalaxyCon virtual stage. As always, we look forward to the day when the world gets a little bit back to normal, and we can once again host you on our physical stages and get you back in front of your fans. In the meantime,
Amen.
The
Amen.
GalaxyCon virtual stage is open, and you are always welcome, as you all certainly know. So our team is going to the chat room now, pulling out questions. In the meantime, I have asked you so many of this stuff already, but I don't think I've ever thrown this at you. If you had a voice at the creative table for a continuation of these characters, where would you like to see them go?
Why didn't you tell me you were going to ask me this question about 15 minutes ago?
Well, I think for Oogie, first of all, he'd have to raise from the dead. So
yes, right. He'd have to reconstitute himself.
Yes,
exactly.
which would be a really good thing. Like, how does that happen? Would be good.
And I have a feeling that Jack would probably end up finding something else that he couldn't quite figure out and would want to know how to fix. Not necessarily a holiday, but some other entity. Well, maybe another kind of holiday. Who knows? But the inquisitive mind of Jack Skelington would be at work at all times, of course.
Of course, yeah. I in my own sort of headcanon, whatever, because we've had variants of this question before, but I've just always thought, well, first of all, I think every fan wants to know what's behind those other doors. What's the visual translation of the other holidays as seen through the prism of again this beautiful artwork and this beautiful imagery that was created. I think that'd be the starting point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
What's a Nightmare Before Christmas-y version of St. Patrick's Day? That one I'd be especially interested in seeing. How are you gonna do that?
Green. That gets me back in the picture.
How are you gonna do that? And how are we gonna keep it for all audiences? Now that's such a great idea.
Yes.
G-rated.
Yeah. Hey, rated green. So,
yeah.
All right, very good, gentlemen. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we got questions already good to go from audience. Let's just go ahead and just dive on in. And what is our first one going to be? And this is going to come from Alex, and they want to know which movie was your favorite role that you've starred in throughout your entire career. And I'll expand that. Not necessarily a movie; it could be a stage work, television work, and any creative pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth? What do you got?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't have a favorite because when you're doing them, they're always your favorite, right?
Yeah, right.
I think doing Cats, I did the Broadway production and then I did it in a filmed stage production from London. And I think that was one because it has grown sort of like Nightmare Before Christmas. So many generations keep coming to it because it's on video. Thank God. And, it's you sort of move into that the realm of myth and whatever you want to call it, and it keeps going. That's the point, and I think that's one of the reasons why that's one of my favorites.
Oh.
And to reiterate to our audience, he is talking about the filmed version of the stage production of Cats, and not the motion picture that came out last year.
No comment, Ken? His lips are sealed.
Well, what a divine effort.
It was a film. People got to work. People got paid.
Absolutely. That's what I said, honestly. I said, look, they gave it their effort, and that's what you do.
Amen.
I can't wait to meet Judi Dench. That's what I want to do. I want to embrace her. And ask her where she got the fur coat. That's all.
So, Chris, how about maybe not the favorite, but a favorite? How's that?
It's hard for me to say there's a favorite. I think probably, as with Ken, maybe my favorite stage role was when I got to go into The Light in the Piazza on Broadway. At Lincoln Center, which was such a glorious, beautiful, wonderful show that was so moving, and it moved me beyond belief. Dog Day, certainly, just because it was my first movie and I was working with such an extraordinary cast. And then something I did a while back for CBS for the Hallmark Hall of Fame, an adaptation of Tale of Two Cities, in which I played both characters, Sidney Carton and Charles Darnay, and that was thrilling too, just from a work perspective, and also to get to work with a group of British actors whom I admired From Afar Forever, Peter Cushing and Dame Flora Robson and Billy Whitelaw and David Suchet. I mean, Nigel Hawthorne was in it. Kenneth Moore was in it. It was amazing. It was
Don't you feel like it's like you graduated when you get to work?
Exactly.
I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm an actor.
We got to talk about that first time I hosted you, and again that you were playing both the leads, of course, in that famous story, and that was old school special effects where you would film a scene, then you have to change and refilm the scene opposite with a camera covered
over. Yeah.
No green screen shenanigans.
No. Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of time in the makeup chair, though.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, certainly. So, Alex, thank you. Great question to start us off with.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
What do we have next? And it's going to come from Gia. Which song or scene do you like the most from Nightmare Before Christmas? Okay.
Well, personally, I like Oogie's song. I think it's just so wonderful, and just it's performed with such perfection and with such elan and such a wickedness, and at the same time with such it's
you're too kind.
It's Ken Page at his height. Now nobody can talk about my singing, so we'll move on from that. Right.
Is that ever gonna stop?
Probably not. Not. I mean, I do sing, but I did not sing, obviously, in the movie.
I know,
right.
I know. We need to get someday. We need to get the other half of Jack Skellington on here, and
that would be great.
Yeah,
I mean, because the more I watch the movie, now that I've watched it again, the more I admire Danny's songs, his musicianship, the crafting of the songs, the way they work with a picture, the soundtrack, the musical track. I mean, it's really something.
That's something I've become more enamored with over the years is the actual musical score, not just the songs, but the actual music. It's really, really extraordinary.
Oh, now when you do the concerts, Ken, pardon me for interlocking here, but when you do the concerts, because I know you do them all over the place with Danny Elfman and an orchestra and Catherine, yes, correct?
Right,
Catherine. Do they play the whole score?
They do. Because they basically just run the film.
But
everything you hear is live.
I see.
Which is really interesting. I mean, you sort of forget after a while that it isn't the score that you heard on the soundtrack. Right. Because they have symphony orchestras. We've done it with, of course, the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. We did it with the some kind of pop symphony in London and so forth. But it really is extraordinary because what it says is the writing of the score and the songs, if you will, are so well executed that you can do it live. And even if you didn't see, some of the visuals that are there, it still would carry just from the score and the songs, so to speak. It really would.
I agree. It's really something. I
was
more aware
to hear
of
that music live is really great.
Yeah.
The score, I'm saying. Yeah, not so the songs are great, but to hear that score played with live musicians is great.
Oh, it's a wonderful experience, and an experience again. I look forward to you being able to resume when the world gets back.
Yeah, I do too.
Amen.
So, in the meantime,
we booked for London again in December coming up for Wembley again, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we actually will be able to be there.
I'll join you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And tell Danny and Catherine they're more than welcome to join us anytime they want to.
I will.
And Gia, thank you. Great question. Thank you so much. What do we have next? From Adrienne. Did you ad-lib any lines?
There were a few times when Henry Selick, our director, would say, try something here, try a sound, or try an exclamation of some kind. But generally speaking, as far as the speaking lines themselves were concerned, they were pretty much as per script.
Yeah.
We tried them lots of different ways.
Gazillions.
Yes, right. We were constantly encouraged to, okay, how about if you go, hey there, instead of hey there, or an iteration of that, or Henry would sometimes say, try it 3 different ways, any way you want.
Yeah.
And then you just go for it.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of an ad lib, I guess. But as far as changing the lines, no, not me.
Yeah, I didn't either. The only thing I think with Oogie was that a lot of I call it the intros, outros, were signified by sound. You know, if he had a line that said, "I walked out the door," it was like, "Oh, I walked out the door." So those kind of things, were ad libbed, and kind of they'd say, "Be scared and then say the line," or "Be funny," or whatever. So you kind of but that was about the lines, understandably, because they had to animate it. I mean,
Yeah, and this is the thing about animation. Is supposed to in camera. Sometimes you're encouraged by a director to say it however you want, as long as this happens. But in animation, the script tends to be a little more solidified,
locked in.
Yeah. Because the animators could already be animating it to those precise lines and those beats. So
yeah.
Indeed. But Adrienne, though, still great question, and thank you. What's next? From Christy, what were your first thoughts when you saw the animation? Or when you first saw, I assume you saw little tests and stuff like that?
When did you first see it, Ken? Do you remember?
I didn't see, I think there was some kind of a line thing that they did show me. It wasn't much. So I really didn't get any sense of the animation until I saw the finished film, which was mind-blowing. Because I had no idea. I saw Oogie on a table, stiff as a board, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then to see how I just couldn't even put it together how they could do that at the time. It's such a zen kind of a thing. But I just remember being blown away by it because it was such an amazing achievement.
And how long was it between your final recording and when you finally saw the final product?
Probably a year, I want to say, at least.
Yeah, I think it was probably about that for me, maybe a little less, but somewhere in there.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it was when Tim Burton let it be known that he wanted to go over some of the dialogue that I had already recorded, and I was very much on board because there was some stuff that I felt I wanted to rework that I wasn't totally satisfied with. And so they sent me a VHS of the sort of semi-finished product. It wasn't colorized. It was in black and white. There was a timeline across the bottom.
The temp track.
The temp track line, and I put it in a VHS that I had, and I was taking notes as I was sitting there. And at the time, I was in Los Angeles working on another picture, and my 3 kids were with me, and I'm sitting there and I'm writing, and suddenly I realized they're all gathered around me, and they're like that, literally. I mean, they were just completely, their eyes were bulging out of their heads, and it was at that moment, no color, no nothing, a very basic soundtrack, that I realized, boy, this is really something. This is extraordinary. And then, of course, when I saw the finished product, when I saw it at one of the premieres, I can't remember which, I was blown away as well.
I have to ask this. Do you still have that VHS?
No, I wish I did. I wish I did.
That would have been a heck of a curiosity.
Yep.
Christy, thank you. Wonderful question.
Thanks, Christy.
Bye, Christy.
And what do we have next from Zachary? Did you need any coaxing into taking the roles for this movie? That must have been so odd at the time.
I don't know if you saw from my spit take. But no. You don't say no to something like this. I'd seen some of the storyboards when I went into audition. I knew it was a Tim Burton project, although I knew that he was not directing, but I knew it was a project of his. I mean, come on. That's all I got to say.
And Tim Burton was absolutely at his zenith.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like maybe not creatively. I would argue he still had plenty of great movies to do it, but in terms of his popularity, he was the it guy in Hollywood at that moment.
So, yeah. And also, I think at the time he was, not that he isn't now, because he is, but more so then, he was still very auteur and cult. It was still, it had another thing going on.
Yeah.
You know, the more, of course, the more successful he became, you know, you get a little different thing happening. But at that time, it was, you know, I remember when it first came out and everything, unbeknownst to me, it was a big hit among the goth crowd and so forth. And I think he was a hero of theirs, which is why they came to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Zachary, thank you. Great question. What do we have next? From Luke. What is your favorite line from the movie?
Chris.
I can't think of
I loved it when
one.
you said that in the movie.
And I probably did. I probably, because I think I did a lot of that in the movie. So I'll say it's that.
I think mine was tickle, tickle, tickle. Because it was just so silly and ridiculous, you know. It always made me laugh doing it. They were like, why are you laughing? I said, because it's funny to me. I hope it's funny to other people. But how often do you get to say that to somebody outside of your own home?
Exactly. And not get arrested for it.
There you go.
Luke, thank you. That was a fun one.
Thank you, Luke.
What do we have next? From Adrienne. How different is it for prepping for voice work versus stage or screen?
Prepping is the operative word here, and I don't necessarily think that we think ahead of time how we prepare for our voice work, because you know part of actors training is voice work, whether you sing or whether you speak on stage or whether you work in movies. Maybe less so when you're working in movies, but still, you know, you have to be able to use the instrument, the diaphragm, the chest, the voice itself, in a way that gives you control over your instrument. And so I don't think the preparation is all that different. To a certain extent, I would say, Ken, wouldn't you, that if you're doing a musical, you gotta lead up to it with vocal work and
you have to get all your wheels turning and the oil and everything going. The only thing I would say for me was that while as you said, the prep was certainly what we do anyway. The only thing I thought about was the freedom, because there was no physicality. And I thought to myself, you've got to incorporate what you think would be physicality into your voice.
Yeah.
You couldn't rely on the fact that they're going to see you throw your hand in the air or go.
Although they'll see the character do it, but they won't see you. Yeah.
But you have to put that in your voice.
Yes, exactly.
And therefore,
very good point.
I had to think of that a little bit.
You have to animate the voice to match the character.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The efforts, as they're called. You know, all the nonverbal stuff, and it's far more prevalent in, or maybe you experienced it while doing some of the video game revisits with the characters. Some more of the
the physicality. Actually, more so probably with the video games, because you're constantly flying around.
Yeah,
and being shot.
The tonality I found, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know how I would say it. It's almost like you're writing music with your voice, you know, and then of course they're going to animate to your voice rather than the other way around. So any kind of color, anything like that, you got to put it in the voice or it's not there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Adrienne, thank you. Wonderful question.
Adrienne.
Thank you, Adrienne.
From Robin would like to know, who were some of your mentors while growing up?
Growing up. Well, I'll mention one person because it has to do with his voice. Jeffrey Holder, who he was a great mentor. But I remember, you know, seeing him on television. He used to be the Uncola man for 7-Up.
Yes, right.
And he had that wonderful laugh, Uncola, you know, and it was so rich and it was so great that I remembered, you know, that growing up. And then, of course, when I met him and was lucky enough to get to work with him, he was a living, breathing masterclass in everything.
Oh, really?
Well, he was a set designer. He was a costume designer. He was a
Yeah,
choreographer.
real Renaissance man.
He was an actor. You know? So anything you could absorb from him was worthy, first of all. But just his whole presence was such a, I learned a lot about how to be, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was a big man. He used to tell me, he said, "You're a big man. When you walk in the room, claim it." Because I kind of didn't. When you were a big guy, you had that thing of like, apologize when you come in because you're taking up too much space. Yes. You know what I mean? Right. And his thing was, no, you take up all the room, throw yourself around the room, project yourself, And all the while, of course, as I said, I'm listening. His voice was so amazing.
Yeah, it was an extraordinary instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he had a huge theater background, and again, he did fashion design too, as I understand it.
Everything.
I mean, you're right. Chris was right. He was a Renaissance man, and it's not very often this a James Bond villain steals the whole movie from a James Bond, but he certainly did that. In so that I'm envious that you had that time with him.
Listen, I treasure it, and he gave me a lot of life advice, which is, another thing, but just how to operate within the business and how to hold on to yourself, maybe when people are asking you to be something different. That was the core. And because he was not, he was successful at everything he did, but he wasn't the normal anything. He was always outside of it. So he really taught me how to, he was the first person I remember seeing walking down the streets of New York in a cape. A long black cape and a hat, sort of tilted to the side, and thought,
I
"How
can
does
see
he get away with that?" Yeah, but he said, "Never apologize.
Never apologize.
Never apologize."
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
fantastic.
Most of the people that I looked up to, I considered mentors, but were not necessarily people who were actively mentoring me. That is, when I first started, I was driving. I was a driver at a Equity Theater, and they let me also be in the plays because I was the youngest guy around, and they needed always a young lead in the plays. And it was an Equity Theater, and so I got to watch and listen to in rehearsal guys that you may not remember, but a guy by the name of George Grizzard, who was a wonderful New York theater actor. Roy Scheider, before he became a movie actor, was at this theater. A wonderful, amazing Canadian classical actor named John Colicos.
I loved him.
He was extraordinary. He played Sir Thomas More in Man for All Seasons when I was there, and I played one of the young brothers. But my thing was, because there was no one who was really sort of mentoring me personally, I was always listening and watching, and this is what you do at this moment. I want to imitate that. Or I would watch films of great actors that I admired, Olivier and Gielgud, and some of the great American actors of the period. Some of the actually older movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s. The great ones. Edward G. Robinson. I mean, there's an acting class for you just watching him in a movie.
Absolutely.
So that was the approach that I had as far as somebody mentoring me. I would have loved if somebody had taken me under their wing, but I felt like I was, in a way, symbolically under the wing of these people.
Yeah.
Just so when you were driving and getting to do the parts, was that before you got your card or after?
I got my card as a result of that season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Working at that theater. Yeah. That's how I got my first Equity card.
Nice. Robin, thank you. Wonderful question.
Not my first. I still have it.
I wish I had my first Equity card. I don't know what I did with it.
They change them every year now, so.
I know, it's kind of.
I get my mail from them, but I don't know where my card is.
Yeah.
So, nobody ever asked you for it. I hate to say, but it's never. Very seldom you go anywhere and they say, "Can I see your card?" And you just gotta, I guess it's proof you paid is what it boils down to.
Exactly.
Pat Quinn from Rocky Horror Picture Show tells a wonderful story about how her and a group of her friends all shared one card. They would go to auditions and they had somebody's card, and you would print it. You're like, there's an audition up in Aberdeen. I want to go for it. I'll give you $5 for your card.
Right.
for that weekend, and they would
Oh,
go on
great.
up. And, yeah. So I guess at any given point throughout the UK at the time, the same actor or actress was in several productions.
Right. Oh, how great! That's a funny
That's
story.
good.
Yeah.
Say the names are important. Just give me the job.
Yeah.
And
Right.
for our audience to know, Actors Equity Union is sort of like the Screen Actors Guild of stage performers.
Right.
And if you and there's different levels, and that's the short version of it.
Yeah.
So all right, and we had wonderful question. What do we have next? This comes from Jeannie. What is your dream role?
Effie in Dreamgirls. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
So glad I wasn't tricking for that.
Well, you have to understand. Is it Janie? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
That at whatever point in your life you are, you have to sort of assume that you're going to be cast out of certain things that you might have answered this question for. I'm not going to be playing Hamlet anytime soon. I'm now years old, and so I'm aged out of that. But I could conceivably try to play Prospero or Lear, although it would probably kill me to play Lear. And as far as anything else, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head except the role I have in life, which is husband, father, grandfather.
The best.
That's my dream role.
Actually, there's one that I'm actually getting ready to do. It'll be a radio production of it. Of Big Daddy and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Oh, wow, Ken.
Yeah.
Perfect for you.
Perfect City, and it came up other times and different when they did the last production that James Earl Jones did, who of course was I'll down you, but but it's come around, and now I'm the perfect age, and I'm sort of glad it's on the radio. I can just kind of do a thing, and hopefully that will give me an opportunity to put the suit on, if you will, and wear it, and then maybe do it live on stage after, when we all can do that. But I'm really excited to do it. Yeah.
It
was a dream role,
Where will we be able to listen to this?
I'm not sure. I'm here in St. Louis, and it's with the St. Louis Tennessee Williams Festival, which I'm a member of the group, blah, blah, blah. And they've done some amazingly wonderful things. They did a full version of Glass Menagerie just this past season. And they've done a lot of one acts, in answer to not being able to be on stage. They had to kind of transform. We had to transform very quickly. And I serve as the host on the radio. Good, hello, welcome to 107.3 Classical. Tonight's and they've decided that their next full production, knock on wood, will be kind of on Tin Roof. It's some things you have to think about. Do they play on the radio? Will it work? In audio, whatever. But they're doing it. Knock on wood, and But I don't know how you would hear it. I'm not sure. It's broadcast in St. Louis. But if I can find out, I'll let you know.
Certainly, as it. And every couple of weeks, we'll just keep Googling, it's like Ken Page and Cat Tin Roof, and see if we get anything.
Yeah, see what pops up. Yeah.
See, absolutely.
I'm going to encourage them to make it available to a broader audience.
Oh, absolutely. So they should.
Just about any station will do their stuff online and make it available. So I think there's a good.
Well, I'll tell you this just to know, it becomes an issue about rights, because this whole thing with radio. I mean,
exactly.
They're doing Streetcar Named Desire, the Williamstown. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it gets very.
Will the estate sanction it?
Yeah, they do. They have to get the rights, to even do it. Yeah. But when you start to say, "Look, we're going to broadcast it on a broader," that's when it gets a little dicey and tricky.
Well, fingers crossed. We can enjoy it.
Yeah, and why not? Look, we're all in a place right now where anything we can, and I don't mean myself personally, but everybody, put out there in the public that people can enjoy, because you can't see anything live.
That's right.
I think, and I'm saying this because I'm hoping that the people who are rights holders will begin to understand that it's important for things to be available.
Exactly.
Hold on to them for what nobody can see anything. So let people,
Exactly, and also for the greater good.
Yeah,
this is not just about. It's not just about sitting and listening to it one night. It's about
right.
everybody having access to great
Exactly.
works of art.
Exactly. And the times have called for it. So you
And the times
answer.
definitely call for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I read that they're doing Streetcar Named Desire, Williamstown, Audra McDonald's playing Blanche, on and on and on. Wonderful cast of people are doing it. And I thought, doesn't everybody want to hear that? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. JD, great question. And
Thank
Chris,
you, Janie.
Bye, Jenny.
If not on stage or on audio, I would love to see you tackle Richard III.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, so would I. Actually, I'm kind of in that sort of physically in that kind of state at the moment. I'm having trouble with my neck and my back, so
what's happening?
strap me in and just send me off to do it. Actually, a great idea.
And I think we'll go ahead and just do another question. And this is going to come from Daniel, who wants to know, have either of you been on the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland when they did the Nightmare Before Christmas decor?
Tell me about it.
Tell us about it, Janet. It's great. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, they do a whole, I call overlay, with everything.
Yeah.
And the way they weave Nightmare Before Christmas into what is ostensibly the basic Haunted Mansion. It's really, really clever. And of course, I think you did too, Chris, some voice stuff for it, right?
Yeah, I've done all the voice for it, but I've never really seen it in action and would love to.
Well, that's the trip of it, because we know what we did vocally.
Yeah.
But when you go there and then you see how the voice operates within all the things, it was just crazy. I mean, on the exit out, they had one of my lines was like, "Okay, see you around." It was something really stupid, but it made me laugh because people were laughing, and I thought, "Oh, wait, I guess it works," But they do a great job with it.
I hear it's really quite spectacular and fun and
great.
Scary at the same time, which it should be. Because
Yeah.
I remember going through the Haunted Mansion, many, many, many years ago with my kids when they were much younger, and it's
It's effective.
a real kick in the head.
The thing that gets me the most is when you go down on an elevator.
This was one of the hitchhiking ghosts.
Yes, I love them. Right.
Indeed. Yeah, at Disney World over here, they didn't quite integrate that stuff, but they do the outside, the decorations. They redo the hearse, and they've done it up like that. And it's. I envy the people at Disneyland that were able to enjoy that, because we never quite got that full effect at Disney World.
Well, it's still to come.
Indeed. So, Daniel, thank you. Wonderful question.
Thank you, Daniel.
What's
Daniel.
next? We got one from Jack. What was the best memory from making The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Getting hired.
Yeah. I put that right up there. Yeah. I put that right up there with, I think the first time I walked into the building that was quote unquote the studio. It was not really a functioning like normal Hollywood studios are, with the big buildings that exist that are soundproof, etc. This was, as I recall, Ken, remind me, kind of like a structure.
Kind of like a warehouse. I remember going downstairs, so there were floors, 2 or 3 floors.
I remember going down, but then in the main lobby, the thing I remember was that their walls were lined with the storyboards.
Yes, exactly.
And there were also lots of games in the lobby for the animators to play.
To keep their brains together.
Yeah,
I guess, right?
I think there was a punching bag and maybe a pool table, ping pong table. I mean, I may be misremembering, but I do remember that there were lots of ways for them to work off their frustrations, because it's an extraordinarily minuscule, literally frame by frame process that takes the patience of a saint. And in these cases, artistic saints.
I think it was equivalent to how unique what the film is how the environment is. I mean, it was nothing like I'd ever seen anywhere before. The set pieces that they worked on were all
and then the sets themselves, these little entities that were, that fit the sizes of the armatured figures, which were about that tall, I think, maybe about a foot tall, something like that.
About a foot.
Yeah. And there were 4 or 5 of them going at one time?
At least that I remember.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. I'll say that because, first of all, as actors, our imaginations are always part of our bag of tricks, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you go there and all of a sudden you're in this complete other mental
world,
whatever you want. Yeah, world. It had nothing to do.
That doesn't exist in our head.
Not at all.
Or didn't up until then, anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Jack, great question.
Thank you, Jack.
I think we have time for one more, maybe 2. Let's see how it rolls out. Okay, this one comes from Amanda. What advice would you give to someone about getting into movie, voice acting, and I'll even say stage and acting in general business?
I usually give a somewhat facetious but truthful answer, which is don't. I only say that from this perspective, that one must be prepared for constant rejection from the time you begin until you retire.
Right.
I still get rejected. I still have to audition for things, be they, even if they're voiceover stuff or whatever. That seldom am I hired on the spot. Seldom do I get a call from my agent saying, you've been offered this role. It's almost always an audition situation, and almost always you are rejected. So that's one piece of advice. Be prepared for that. And as an adjunct to that, then it by necessity has to be something you have to do. It has to be a calling.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then you'll wither on the vine very quickly, very, very quickly. And the third criteria I always mention to especially young actors is go to school. Make sure that you're educated, even if you self-educate, that you understand the human condition, because that's what you're reflecting either on the stage or the screen or through the mic. And if you don't know about the world, then if it's just about you want to be a celebrity, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Just stick to
I would echo all
video games.
Right. I would echo all the same things. His first advice I got from a wonderful actress named Teresa Merritt. I was in the chorus of South Pacific and she was playing Bloody Mary. And I told her that I was going to go to New York. And she said, why? I was like, what do you mean? And I said, because I want to go to New York. She said, but why? And she kept asking me why, until finally I said, well, I have to. And she said, that's it.
That's it.
You don't do it at all unless you have to, as you said, Chris, because unless you're motivated by your own inner drive to be in it and do it and learn and participate, you just won't last. And I've seen now through the years, people who, because the industry, as opposed to the business as we used to call it, the industry, and, there's a corridor for people who just want to be celebrities. We've got reality TV now. We've got all of that. And they're on a par with people who study and work and do all the things as far as being known. But I think that's the thing. If you're in it for your own, I don't know how to put it, to edify yourself, so to speak, or your talent or whatever, it can and should be coming from somewhere deeper within you. Otherwise, as Chris said, you won't last and the rejection will kill you. Because if you're only going at it from an ego place, that's the first thing that's going to go. It's ka-slam,
Right.
And the need and the want is what will keep you going, I think.
And keep in mind that, and I believe the statistic is, well, now it's a totally different statistic, but that at any one time when everything is going really well, and the business is cranked up and they're shooting movies and they're shooting TV shows, that 80% of the Actors Union is out of work always at one time.
Always.
That's an 80% unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Right now, the unemployment rate is 100%, or maybe 98% because they're shooting a few shows here and there. So those are the odds.
Yeah,
so unless
and that's the landscape.
Yep.
That's not the odd out situation. That's the landscape.
And I will add, as an actor who's had nowhere near a career as these esteemed gentlemen, I will say, yeah, there's the peril of, do you want to be a celebrity? Because there are ways on the internet, and again, there's Twitch, be a video gamer, be a streamer, there be a podcaster. There's lots of ways to get fame. And the nice thing about it, too, is that you have the ability to find your audience now through various broadcasting means and everything else. So whatever you do, you can find that. But if you want to be an actor, you must want to serve. You must want to serve a story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Want to serve the audience.
We're a service organization, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
And Amanda, and if your heart is in that direction truly, then I just wish you to break all the legs. And my final advice from me is that it is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
Right. Look at us.
Thank you, Patty.
That's so true.
And again,
we're on the long end of the run.
It's still running.
That's right. We're still in the race.
Oh, and GalaxyCon viewers, this has been my time with the cast of The Night Right Before Christmas. Gentlemen, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Any parting words for our audience before we go backstage?
Stay strong, stay safe, wash your hands.
Be
kind.
Be kind. Wear masks.
Kind.
Regardless.
Before we get into anything about the business.
Yeah, right. And regardless of what the rollout of the vaccine is, keep wearing masks until everything is settled down tremendously. Just take care of your fellow man, please. We're in this together. This too shall pass.
Certainly. As I said in the pre-show before, again, I have the hope and the audacity of optimism to think that maybe this year's been off to a rough start. I think that's just shaking off the previous year, the whatever's left on it. So,
amen.
And that being said, gentlemen, always is my absolute pleasure and privilege to serve you both today. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you to our audience for joining us today.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you all for your great questions. Bye, everyone. Take care.